Cadence of the Christian Soldier. Cadence of the Christian Soldier. I need to do these videos faster. I didn't realize I have so much to talk about. So this one, I'll just say it. Please don't. Well, we'll just. I imagine this isn't has a melody in it, and I imagine it's like a bluegrass, like. Please don't draft me, pastor. I only turned 18. I know it's war you're after, but they don't bother me. Find yourself contractors, kids who need the dream, kids who need the green. Call me after college, and I'll run your company. Now I'm doing it like a hoedown, like whose line is it anyways? Got myself a woman, she don't wear a veil unless I break a condom, but even then we'll sail to a private clinic, grab it by its tail. When the doctor's done, I'll send an offering by mail, an offering by mail. Grandpa fought the Nazis, Daddy Vietnam, all that fighting's taught me we ain't never wrong. All that blood has brought me the riches of the earth. So pastor, start another war, I'll build another church. So let's just talk about the poem for this one. Well, let's talk about how good Whose Line Is It Anyways is. But please don't draft me, pastor. I only turned 18. I know it's Cadence of the Christian Soldier again. Let's get in the mind of my fellow Americans. This is where all these are coming from. I'm feeling totally disconnected from the dominant culture. Totally like, what the fuck? If I read all this shit, like I'm sitting in a coffee shop writing these. I'm reading and writing at that coffee shop in Redlands. Every day, working insurance. A good couple months, I had a sales pipeline I was getting off the ground. And then I had this very productive writing phase. That's why I put them all together. This is all coming out of what I'm reading. I'm like, how to reach people, I guess. I'm like, what? Cadence of the Christian Soldier. So I'm being, I guess, cynical, comical. Please don't draft me, pastor. I only turned 18. I know it's war you're after, but they don't bother me. Find yourself contractors, which modern warfare is waged with private contractors. It's scary. They couldn't. We're waging war the same as we've never turned off the killing machines. We're waging war the same as we did in Vietnam. We just aren't doing it with the same tactics. Is the game evolves, and so the chess game that they're doing with the different pieces and everything like that, they're avoiding the issues you have with the draft and with the college kids and stuff. So first of all, you have all this college debt and this artificial economy, so people are too stressed out to protest. I know that because I lived in Berkeley when we invaded Iraq. I was visiting that friend and living on campus. Not on campus. I was right across the street from the campus. I was on Durant and College. And there's a frat house right there. And the frat house rents rooms in the back. So I got to live in a frat house and experience a little bit of college life. And just hang out with those dudes and listen. Again, peek my head in the door. So I went to community colleges. I went to Cal State School. I sat in on classes at University of Santa Cruz, and then I lived right across from the campus at Berkeley. So I got to like a couple months, and then I peek out, just gathering all my little information. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? I got a gym membership at Berkeley too. I was working out there a little bit, looking around like all the college girls, like, oh shit, how do I talk to them? It's like I'm like that barracuda among all the fish. Like, I know I'm supposed to eat all these guys, but if I make a wrong move, they're all gonna fucking flee. And then you learn maybe I shouldn't look at my sexual relations in a predatory aspect. Maybe it should be more like a cooperative metaphor. Like, anyways. So during the invasion of Iraq, there were protests on Berkeley campus, and the kids who protested got expelled or suspended. So there's some people who try to do some like old 70s protest type shit. And that's when people talk about how hippie Berkeley is and everything and how crunchy it is. Culturally, maybe, in the dominant narrative cultures that don't oppose power structures. But when they try to actually do things of substance, like when they tried to protest the Iraq War, which most people were against it around the world and in the United States, those kids, a couple kids got suspended and they cut that shit real quick. Because the kids, our modern ethos is personal ambition, surviving, and making money, getting that paper. If you look at hip hop, is really idealistic in the beginning and when it was counterculture, but once it got into the main culture, it's all about a bunch of bullshit values and bullshit people. That's why people don't like Drake. It's like I went off on Drake earlier this year. I was just looking at the dominant culture and kind of taking my shots at it. But I sit down with friends and when we talk about hip hop and stuff and what we like or don't like, he's kind of a shitty individual when you just scratch the surface. And then all that stuff's coming to light now. But character isn't really, you can't hide back bad character forever. Stuff comes to light. And that's why I'm doing these videos, is what type of person am I and where did I get these ideas? Let me check it so that way I can edit out the bad and keep the good. But yeah, that whole like, well, anyways, the character of college kids are to like put your head down and get by. That was evidence to me in Berkeley when like some people tried to protest, they suspended those kids and no one else said shit. So call me after college, I'll run your company. This is not just a Christian soldier. This is pretty much, I think, how a lot of people make their peace with so much injustice in the world. I'm just tying Christianity into the war. But let's get private contractors so we don't have to have the draft so people don't get upset. Let's keep the kids in college and let them do their own thing and just care enough about over there to act like that you care, like what I said in that other poem too. I guess that's what I'm doing. In these poems, I'm going after the apathetic traits that I see in society. I'm like looking around and I'm being very judgmental, but I think also very honest about the culture in which I live and how useless it is, how I don't vibe with its values. And that's what identity through opposition. I don't think that's the best way to make an identity. It's actually a little dangerous because then you're always looking for a fight or you need antagonism in order to. A lot of these online narratives and online identities are only exist through opposition. If they can't find something to be enraged by, then they don't even know who they are because they only know who they are when they're making fun of or being enraged about others. But back then, I guess that's a part of my artistic process. Is back then I was looking around people who enraged me. So I had that fucking Patriots poem, which was pretty obviously a judgment, but also for the historic record, these things need to be said, I think. So call me after college, I'll run your company. Got myself a woman. This is just hypocrisy about social conservatives. She don't wear a veil unless I break a condom, but even then we'll sail. I thought that was pretty clever. So she doesn't wear a veil like she's not Muslim unless I get her pregnant, and then she'll be wearing a veil like she's fucking getting married. But even then, I don't want to marry her. I don't want to marry the bitch. I just want to fuck her. And so we'll to a private clinic, grab it by its tail, and that's just abortion. That you can't make abortion illegal. You can only make it dangerous. When you make it illegal, it means that rich people will still pay for black market abortions, which will just have a premium on them now, or they'll go out of the country. And then poor people, the ones who can't afford to break the law, are the ones who suffer. When you make a law, and this is, Eastern philosophy even speaks about this, that unjust laws are those that try to control too much. There's certain things you can legislate, and then certain things you can't. So when you make a law that overreaches on a person's liberty, this is the libertarian anarchist idea. There's a certain amount of autonomy and liberty that each individual has. But you can't take away from them. You can only make it harder for them to exercise it. So you think a rich person's going to abide by an abortion law? No, they're going to do whatever they want, just like they pay as many taxes as they want. I could zero out on my taxes, I purposefully got it down to around 10% as ballpark estimates, and I'll hire a tax guy to get it all. I have the receipts. I could write off as much stuff as I want because as long as you have the receipts, you don't even need receipts. I have bank statements, but there's a certain amount you could just claim. But it's reasonable for a real estate person that everything I do is, this whole website and all these videos might be to promote my real estate company. Anything that increases my brand and exposure might be able to get me real estate clients. But I feel like it's fair in society to pay about 10%. And so money where my mouth is. I wanted that historic record of me paying about 10%. But when you have ability and a couple little tools, you can get around paying taxes and zero yourself out to zero tax liability. Starbucks does it all the time. So do major corporations, Apple. So, rich people are gonna like grab it by its tail. When the doctor's done, I'll send my offering by mail. It's like this Christian guy is gonna. What is the hypocrisy of the society we live in and the dogma of the other side? I'm a little bit beyond that now, because now I'm trying to understand why people believe in these things and follow authoritarians for their psychological reasons. I'm trying to be more, like I said, anger is the first emotion. All these other emotions I've been getting since, this is like 10 years ago. It's like, don't blame the victim. There's no reason for me to be upset at people who are being victimized, and the believers of propaganda and dogma, and the people who don't really see how the world, who don't have the time or energy or ability to break out of these false narratives. Is that their fault? It's just people like me and other people need to step up and try to reach them. Now, when I try to reach you and offer you solutions and offer you alternatives, and when it's right in front of you, you still reject it and you still choose to believe the dogma, then maybe it's your fault. Maybe that's the time for judgment. But I'm starting to give people more leeway that, like, this is a tough thing that we're dealing with. And so if you're caught up in the bullshit, I'm starting to be more forgiving about that. This is a little bit more judgmental. Grandpa, but it's also humorous. Grandpa fought the Nazis, so that's my grandpa. Daddy, Vietnam. Dad wanted to fight Vietnam. He didn't, or else it would have fucked up our family even more, I'm sure. All that fighting's taught me that we ain't never wrong, which is the American religion. That our declared idealism, our declared values are actually our values, not, and that goes against everything that someone learns in life, that you are your actions, you're not your best intentions. But when it comes to our nation, we're just our best intentions, that we don't claim responsibility for our actions. Basically, do you see how that dominant narrative goes against living well? Like, that dominant narrative goes against all logic about living a good life or trying to be a good person. So if you buy into that dominant narrative, that's why, luckily, most people just don't pay attention to that shit and live their life. So I guess I shouldn't get mad at Pete Davidson even when he says, I don't pay attention to politics. That's the best way to protect yourself. Because if you do, you're either going to buy into that dominant narrative of bullshit, in which case you're going to, it's going to go a lot against developing good character and being a good person. Or if you don't buy into it, then you're just going to be despondent. You're going to be like, not many people can walk the path I walked, I think. Not many people can try to be this intellectually honest, because it is overwhelming at times. And I check out every now and then. That's why I did real estate for 5-6 years. I had to put this to the side a lot. And that's why I took this whole year off. I knew that this type of year of introspection is going to require all of my attention. So it's a little bit tough, but then hopefully there's the rewards at the end, or because this path is a difficult path to walk. So hopefully there's a little bit of spoils at the end of it. All that blood has brought me the riches of the earth. So pastor, start another war. I'll build another church.